By the end of this video, you should feel confident enough to go and make your first hire immediately and start creating a business that can run itself. I used to hate the idea of hiring people, I'm just gonna be honest. However, I know that I can't grow my business as one person, so I have to learn how to do this eventually. Now I'm happy to say that I've just hired my 4th virtual assistant, but that's because over time I have created a repeatable process for hiring, training and working with these virtual assistants. So in this video, I will be revealing that to you step by step and make you confident to delegate and take your business to the next level. I'll be starting off by showing you around inside my Upwork account and exactly how I manage and pay all my virtual assistants. I will be addressing some sort of common concerns that I had before I made my first hire. You know, I think most people have good intentions. I also am a worrier about the worst case scenarios. You know, what if they change the bank account to my Shopify store and steal the money? What if they take, intellectual property? So setting up these security systems and choosing the right people is really important. All will be answered in due time. And then I'll be talking about how to write a job post properly. So like a rough timeline, in my experience, how long it takes to get your post seen, and then how long it's going to take to choose the right person, how to train them and teach them, and then work together with them to review their performance over time. Some communication tips. Obviously, I am not a management guru. I don't have that experience, but I have learned a few things that will make your life easier. Talking about what to expect for costs and when I think you should start hiring, when I start hiring, how many people, is it better to hire 3 people to do separate things or 1 person to do 3 different things? I'll be talking about that, and then points and troubleshooting with common issues. So I use the Upwork platform to manage all my VAs. It's completely free to use. You just pay a small fee to them every time you pay your hire, which I think is worth it. And there is a paid version, but I use the free version and it has all the functionality that I need anyway. So I have tried some others like Fiverr, which was not really what I needed. The great thing about Upwork is that you can really easily pay by hour. Your VA, they clock in using the desktop app, the Upwork app, which records their screen. And they track their own time. So this is a timesheet for one of my VAs this week, or last week actually. He's currently in his 1-month trial period, but I will be increasing his pay next week, and I'll talk more about that later. You can set a maximum time limit per week so that you don't go over your budget. But obviously, if they need more time, then you can pay them that as a bonus whenever you want to. So you can give them bonuses of any amount that you want. They can also enter the time themselves if they forget to track it. So as you can see, it's extremely flexible. It's very hands-off, and you just log in every day to monitor and pay whatever the total time totals up to, basically. And if they clock in using the app, you can actually see screenshots at regular intervals. I think it's 10 minutes of what your VAs are doing on the computer while they're recording their time. So you can be sure that what you're paying for is actually work and not video games or online shopping, right? You can also record and save video calls and meetings using Loom. I've actually hired 3 people from Upwork and 1 from outside Upwork through a mutual connection. But I asked her to create an Upwork account because it just keeps everything in one place. I think as a technology platform, it makes the process so much easier. Now, before we go any further, let's talk about security. So obviously I'm doing e-commerce, sell online. You might not be in the same business, but security is probably going to be a concern of yours. So most people are trustworthy. Certainly everyone that I've worked with so far has been. However, I am always overly cautious. Also, people make mistakes even if they're not intentional, and you don't want those to be sort of catastrophic and irreversible, basically deleting your entire website. So the first thing before you hire is to check their reviews from previous jobs. I'll talk more about this later, but essentially you're just looking out for any red flags. It should be pretty obvious. And then if possible, you want to create systems that avoid them having to access sensitive areas of the business. So for example, where your payments are set up, all of that. I'll show you how I do that for something like Etsy, which is really dodgy to let other people into the back end of your account. So that I'll show you that. So also, you need to create website backups. I have backups of all my design templates as well for personalized products in case they sort of accidentally delete the entire Canva document. So back up every single thing, and you take a copy of their ID. So literally they need to send you a picture of their ID so that you have that picture. Employers do it all the time, and it also deters them from trying anything because you will literally know who they are and you can prove it if something were to happen. Obviously, not that they were going to try that in the first place. I'll talk more about this later as well. Now, as an Etsy seller, I would never let anybody log into my account unless it's in person and I'm literally standing over their shoulders watching them, because Etsy is known for suspending people that log in through IP addresses from different countries, even using a VPN. As you can see from this subscriber that messaged me, Etsy account got terminated for logging in from different countries. So that's just one thing. There's a lot more that can get you accidentally suspended on these marketplaces like Etsy, eBay, Amazon. So, it doesn't happen to everyone, but it's happened enough times that I am not running that risk. However, I still need somebody to fulfill orders. So how are they going to do that? The way I got around this is by creating a system where they don't need to access my actual Etsy account. So I do this. So I get an email every time I make a sale with the customer details, the name, the address, what product they ordered, and any customizations. That's one thing that you can use to fulfill as well, rather than looking in the Etsy orders section. But I'm not giving anybody this Gmail account login and password, because then they can use that to log into my Etsy account, obviously. So in this case, to get around that problem, I have created this brand new separate email account. I've set up email forwarding of all the Etsy sales emails to this new account. You can look up a tutorial for how to do that for Gmail if you don't know how to. And then I've given my VA the password to this separate account, not the main account. So in this way, it's completely isolated. I've also given them the details to my supplier account, so Printify and Printful, which import the orders, and then they match them up with the emails. This way they can see all the customer details and fulfill without accessing my actual Etsy account. And once they finished fulfilling an order, for example, a customer ordered some kind of personalized product, they changed the design on Canva, they downloaded it, put it on the product, and then got that product ready. It looks like this in Printify, so all I have to do is press a button after I check it, and then they will label this email ready to submit. And then once I check it and approve it, send it, and then I will change this label to sent to production. That way we can both really easily track what orders have gone out. You can enter all the details on a spreadsheet, blah, 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 but I just feel like at this point it's unnecessary, and if I've got this sort of email system with the labels, then it's a lot faster. Like, they don't have to spend that much time entering all the details. Now, if you're using something like Shopify, you can actually create a separate user account with restricted permissions. So my VA's account cannot access payments, but they can change product pages and access the orders and all the customer information to fulfill those. Let's talk about writing a job post and the sort of hiring timeline. So what happens is you create a job post and then you set it live. You can wait for people to apply, or you just invite people, and then you review all the people's proposals, and then you choose who to hire. One thing that I think you should not do is go and look for people directly, like on the page, on the website, and then message them one by one asking, can you do this job? Can you do this job? Always create the job post first, give people the chance to find it and apply, so that you can then have a long list of people and then choose the best person for the job, right? So there's no need to be desperate or just hire the first person that says yes. You don't need to pay money to boost the listing or anything like that. You are the one that's in demand, because there's more people looking for work than people hiring, basically. That's what I found. So here's an example of how I write job posts. So just basically describing what their job is going to be, what kind of responsibilities and skills they need. If you want someone with prior experience, for example, Shopify experience or specialist skills, then you will have to pay more. But so far, I prefer to hire new people and then teach them everything from scratch because it is a bit cheaper. So important things I include are ID check, even though everyone on Upwork has had their ID verified by Upwork, but I always want to keep an image of their ID for my security in case, as I mentioned before. So that is a non-negotiable, no ID, no interview. Then I put a keyword somewhere in the text for them to write at the top of their resume, very first thing that they write, so I can see whether they actually paid attention and read the actual job description. No corn dog, no interview. Then I just list the job, and then I get over, I would say, like a dozen applicants within about 2 days. If things are going really slow, then it does actually let you invite people to your job listing, but I haven't actually had to do that. I've had a lot of applicants, and you probably will too if the job description is clear. Almost none of them have the word corn dog at the top of their application, so that's another thing. Some of them, they just like scroll past and apply to every single thing, so you have to really weed out the people that actually read the job description. And then you just choose the best person. So what I'm looking for is ID, corn dog, good resume. I don't really base it too much on the resume. It's more the 100% previous job completion rate. That's what I'm looking for. And good reviews from the past jobs. Fast responses to my messages. So with regards to interviewing, I've only actually interviewed like multiple people in a sort of selection round once before I realized it was actually pointless, and I just hired them both anyway because they were both really amazing and the reviews just tell you everything, really. Obviously, all the tasks that I need doing at the moment are very simple. I can teach them to anybody from scratch. If you need someone with specialist skills like programming, then you're probably going to have a more you will definitely need a more rigorous hiring process. And then I just ask these people whether they're doing other jobs and their schedule. And then I make sure to mention that, it's not to invade their privacy, but it's just so that I can plan the work accordingly. If that works, I hire them and I give them a contract start date. So this date is the day when they can start to track their time with the app. And then you can pay automatically by hour. But before that, you can still pay them bonuses for learning time, training time, things like that. Now, the way that I train VAs is I make a Google Drive, firstly, with all the files that they will need so that they can access and download them. And then in that, I include a set of videos of basically just me fulfilling orders or creating product pages or doing customer service, whatever I would be doing myself normally. It's just like one of these YouTube videos. I'm just talking into the mic while I fulfill an order or do something. And I explain every step that I'm doing. Yeah, I just talk over it. I don't really edit them, except for the introduction, obviously. So the introduction is just talking about my business, what it actually does, who are the customers, and where we sell, stuff like that. But yeah, the others are very quick. It's just me recording the screen. And then I ask them to watch the videos from start to finish, take some brief notes so that I know they've watched every bit. It doesn't have to be long at all. And the good thing with them taking notes is that you now have sort of a bullet pointed standard operating procedure almost, which you can then give to future employees if somebody else were to take their job. And then once I'm sure that they've understood the process and watched the videos, I get on a call with them where I expect them to fulfill orders while I watch them, basically. And then they can also ask me any questions. I make sure that they know what they're doing. And all this kind of onboarding stuff happens before the date the contract starts. So when that date comes, I let them work independently and I just sort of monitor the work every day and keep an eye on things. So we communicate mostly through a feedback sheet where they record each piece of work that they've done, whether it's fulfilling a certain order or creating a product page, and then they talk about what they've done if they have any issues, and I give feedback and comments and reply to their issues. So this is a good way to do it instead of sending like 20 messages a day back and forth. I usually reserve the Upwork messages for admin things, like stuff that's not relating to actual work. When should you hire? So basically, you should hire when you have the budget to. And it depends on cost as well. So for me, that is about one person every 2 to 3K profit per month. There will always be that awkward period of time where you are making a bit of money, but it's not enough yet to comfortably hire somebody. So you just have to do everything yourself. And I think that's around when you hit your first, 2 to 3K profit per month mark, but you've just got to push past that. And then once you make your first hire, there will be so much weight taken off your shoulders. It will be such a relief. But before that, you've just got to, do everything yourself, really. And you will find VAs realistically from, I'd say, like $5 to $40 per hour. Most of my work I teach from scratch, entry-level jobs, as I said, and you don't need any specialist expertise or qualifications at the moment. So definitely on the low end of that, 5 to 10 per hour is what I pay my employees right now. Although I do a trial period of $3 per hour for the first month. And if the work is good, then I hire them for the rest of time, I guess. And I up the salary to $5. So I also give bonuses. So for hitting certain goals, I give like $10, $20 bonuses. So the reason that you can actually find people that work for these amounts is that the purchasing power of money in different countries like Pakistan and the Philippines is a lot higher per dollar than in the US. And I would also say that it's definitely better to hire 3 people doing 3 different jobs than 1 person doing everything. And you're not paying 3 times the money for 3 people because each person will work less and they'll work faster because they get more specialized at their job. They get better at doing the job. So I have 2 people doing order fulfillment, 1 on the weekdays and 1 on the weekends, 1 person on Shopify product pages and 1 person on the line to Printify and Printful for customer support. I would never make 1 person do all of those jobs because I would then have to teach them all those jobs and it would take them longer to learn all of that, right? Now, legal, if you're paying people through Upwork, they are not technically your employees. They are contract workers. So just like, well, most of the time, your lawyer and your accountant are not your employees. However, you can choose to hire somebody full-time through Upwork. You can take it off Upwork, and then legal issues like employment benefits and stuff come into play. Obviously, consult a professional for that. Just some other tips that I can think of. So the videos and the spreadsheets, which I've already talked about, really help me, I realized, avoid micromanaging. You can do it the traditional way and just teach them through a Zoom call, but it's so much harder and you will forget stuff. Like, it's definitely not the way that I recommend to train them. I would recommend just making videos. It might take you longer up front, but it's going to help. And also, if you need to hire somebody after them, you can use the same video. Determine your standards. So say, I want orders fulfilled within 15 hours. I expect at least 5 product pages to be completed per day. If you hit that goal, I will give you a bonus or raise your pay at the end of the trial period or whatever, right? So make sure you set clear expectations before you hire. Run through a day in your VA's life in your head. So imagine yourself not knowing anything about your own business, watching the videos, and then can you actually do the job? Like, I've tried this mental exercise every time I hired, and then I've always discovered so many potential problems and confusing areas. So like I forgot to give them logins. I just assumed that they would know what file names are where, and all these things that could come up for a VA. And so I made sure to include these points in my videos that I made for them. I created this business from scratch, so obviously I know exactly where to find this random file that's named something completely different to what you'd expect. But a VA has to learn all of this stuff step by step. You have to introduce your business and how it works. You're not going to just implant it into their head immediately. So be patient, basically. Thankfully, I have not had to fire anybody yet. And I think that should only be reserved for if somebody is really consistently not listening or doing their work, which, it should be rare because you're looking at their reviews and you're doing your due diligence on them, right? So ask them how they're doing regularly, how they're finding the job. Wish them happy new year, happy birthday, just be a nice person. If they made a mistake, show them actually how to do it, either through, your feedback sheet or Zoom call so that they can improve. Don't just be like, you did that wrong. That looks ugly, do it again.